The S&P 500 gap down and Bitcoin is breaking out into new all-time highs once again. We have some major movements in the market. In today's update, we're going to take a look at the S&P 500, gold, Bitcoin, and Euro USD. Let's start with the S&P 500 right here with that massive gap to the downside. We can clearly see here that the daily structure is bearish. The bear, not the bear. The bear is in control here. Hitting that 0.702 level is perfectly. This is the power of the reload zone. This is the power of the reload zone. If you know, you know. Hitting that 0.702 perfectly in conflict with the 5.5K resistance right here. This is such a beautiful short setup on the higher time frames, but not really going to short this at this point. We're gonna look at the lower time frames to look at the intraday levels. Looking at the 1 hour chart, we still see that even though we have some strong bearish momentum on the daily, well, it looks like it doesn't really translate over to the lower time frames, right? We're still trading between that 5.3 and 5.5K region for the S&P 500. We do have also retail sales coming in later today, so that might act as a catalyst to, move us above or below this range to start a potential, directional move on the higher time frames. If you're trading the S&P 500 or indices, the Nasdaq US 30 probably going to move very similar to the S&P 500. If you're trading indices on the lower time frames, intraday traders are probably going to be watching this range as good levels to manage their risk. I mean, we can look at a possible long setup. I mean, just from that support down to range height, we could easily perhaps get a 2-hour setup or even maybe a 3-hour setup if you can manage that risk accordingly. Now, of course, probably going to be with the risk of the news event coming up, but this is a good support level. So the risk to reward at this level is quite good, and it's quite good. So that's the S&P 500. Now we're moving on to the digital gold, the one and only, our lovely Bitcoin. We're gonna go out to the daily time frame. Yes, we are seeing. I saw a post from Peter Brand talking about this trend line right here, and he's saying that trend lines are the least important things in technical analysis, and I tend to agree with him, especially when you have to choose between a horizontal level and a trend line. Always go with the horizontal level, and the reason why I put this trend line on is just to demonstrate that fact that the trend line doesn't really matter. It looks like we're breaking above that trend line, but then you go into that horizontal resistance and it pushes price down. So yes, trend lines can be a good way of trading an edge, but for me, not really very important. We're seeing Bitcoin right here still trading below this level. Again, same thing as the previous updates this week. Break above that 86 to 88K level, and we're most likely going to take us up to that 92, 93K region right up here. Going into the lower time frames, we have a very clearly defined range here on the lower time frames for Bitcoin as well, quite similar to the S&P 500, but Bitcoin is showing some more weakness here, I must say. Still, we have the news event here, might move Bitcoin as well, but the risk to reward at this support level is, in my opinion, quite good. For the intraday traders looking to trade Bitcoin as a day trader or a scalper, you want to be watching the range lows here at around 83.4, 83.5K. The range EQ is right exactly on 84.5K, and the range highs at around 85, 500 and 86K. That's also that high time frame resistance that kind of we need to break above. So for intraday levels, these are good levels to play. Now, for a low time frame trade before the news, you might want to be looking at something like this with that stop loss being below that low. And then just a quick little move up to that range EQ. It would be a low risk to reward trade, but could work out well. I quite like that trade. Maybe hold it up to range high. So that's a couple of ideas for Bitcoin today. Moving on to gold. What do we have on gold? This is just a monster. Now, when gold is trading into price discovery, it's quite difficult to find good levels of resistance, obviously. But we have put this fib on, the fib anchor low right here at that low. As you can see, the fib anchor high right here. And we have added the extension fibs of the minus 0.236, the minus 0.382, and of course the fib extension levels. And by the way, I've developed an EA, right? And that EA caught the breakout on gold beautifully, right? So I've developed a couple of EAs running on different, running on Nasdaq Gold, Euro JPY, and GBP JPY, and I'm testing them out now on a bootcamp evaluation account with the fibers, and it's going very, very well. Already up on almost 1% on that challenge without doing anything. It's just automatic. It's running in the background. It's absolutely crazy. Anyway, those signals are going to get forwarded to the Discord server, to the Clarity Edge Pro community. So make sure that if you're interested in getting those signals, automated trading signals, you can go into the description of the video, and you know what, I'm gonna slap on a 50% discount just for this video. So if you want to join, 50% discount, go in, join, enjoy the signals that are coming later this month. Okay, so looking at gold right here, we have price testing that minus 0.236 level, and price really likes this level, it seems like. So we're going to go into the lower time frames, and I will demonstrate why I think these levels are important. Not only are they reacting nicely on the daily time frame, but we see here that the previous range highs that we broke overnight here is in perfect confluence with the minus 0.236 level, and we're just now breaking above the minus 0.382. Now we could expect some type of resistance around this level, and if price continues down, the minus 0.236 might act as a good support level, maybe, you know, for an intraday long or whatever, but maybe we can start a range here. But if price continues like this, you know, I'm looking at the 3,380 level, which is around the minus 0.618 for gold. So pay attention to these fib levels for gold. Looking at Euro USD, we're going to zoom out to the weekly. In exactly 2 days and 13 hours, we're going to have a weekly open and close above this major high time frame level, marking a significant breakout for Euro USD on the higher time frames. Now this is important. This is major stuff here. And if that happens, we are most likely going to see a possible move up to the 1.16 area right here. We have a clearly defined range. As you can see here, the S&P 500, Euro USD, and Bitcoin is in a very range-bound environment, quite tight range here. It's like it's waiting for catalyst. Maybe the retail says, probably not, but maybe we'll have something happening in the... I mean, what everyone's waiting for is probably a tweet from Trump, right? That's probably what everyone's waiting for. But a break to the upside, if we break this 1.1430 level to the upside, the range highs here, we are most likely probably going to take us up towards the 1.16 area as resistance, and a break to the downside, and this whole high time frame breakout might just be a fake out. It might be invalidated, and we might come down to test the 1.12. If there's strength, we're probably going to bounce at 1.12. If there's not a lot of strength and bears really do take over, we're probably going to be looking at a 1.1080 level as support. That's today's update, everyone. Make sure that you are subscribed to the channel. If you're not subscribed already, hit that like if you like these quick daily updates, and let me know if there's any other charts you want me to take a look at. Take care. See you tomorrow for the next update.